Hi, my name is Professor Cruz Medina. Today, I'm going to be talking about the genre of synthesis. Now, synthesis essays can do multiple things, but oftentimes what you're trying to do with a synthesis is you're taking different kinds of information, different kinds of sources, and you're trying to more or less put them all together to have them come out and demonstrate how they're all sort of in their commonalities, how they're all centrally answering or discussing a particular topic.
Synthesis involves making meaning from multiple sources, and successful synthesis identifies manageable sets of information.
So like I said, they do things like perhaps provide some analysis. They draw on the limitations in terms of what these different texts can do. But most importantly, they point out the commonalities, and you can see them appear in things like reviews of literature or review essays, or I think in classes where you're trying to show some cumulative end of the quarter or end of the course sort of knowledge. Now, sometimes it can be difficult because you have these multiple sources that seem to be all saying different things. So the purpose of this genre is to demonstrate how all these sources have some commonalities that you want to explain. So the first thing that you want to do, of course, is to read all of your multiple sources that you have. Now, I know some folks, as they're taking the AP Lit course or AP Lit test, they don't have that same luxury. However, when you're in the university and you're trying to do a review of the material, that's where it's really important to kind of go through and see what are some of these commonalities. And in doing so, you're able to do some of the beginning parts of your writing, where once you kind of point out what they all have in common there, then you're able to carry them forward and think about how you want to arrange all that information to demonstrate how those are all interconnected. And they can be interconnected through things like themes, topic, or their ideas, or evidence. And what you want to make sure you do then is to bring all this forward in your own central claim about the text. And oftentimes we think of this as our thesis, the central idea of what is it they all have in common and how are they all talking about it differently, that we're going to end up in more of a cohesive argument. So when we move back into looking at our synthesis here, what we tend to find is that we want to begin with our introduction that explains not only sort of the summaries of all these different sources, but then once again that thesis that explains how they're all interconnected. And so what you'll find with a lot of these is that you're doing some summary and explaining what is happening in each of these sources, and maybe bringing some quotes in or some paraphrasing to explain what is some really important information. But I think more than any other genre, you want to point out the limitations and how, even though it might contribute to the conversation in some way, this particular source might fall short in this other way. And I think what that nicely does is it creates a space that you open up for your next source to come in, because transitions between these sources is very important. So once you acknowledge the limitation, you're setting up the transition that also helps set up what is the next source that you're going to be wanting to discuss. So once you're able to do this, you're allowed to bring these all together and acknowledge what brings them, what central idea is bringing them together. And it can be best to think about organizing all of these by how well they're all interconnected and the closeness of them. That way your transitions aren't having to do too much difficult work in showing those connections between sources. Thank you.